Hey everybody, it's Jim with Triple J Bricks. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to look at the next phase of our newest storage sorting organization solution. And I feel very good. I was able to get the 2x plate and 1x plate all done. If you missed the last video, which talked about the larger plate and sort of my new pivot, you can check that out up here somewhere. But today we're going to take a look at the 2x and 1x plate, and then I'm going to talk about the next drawer, next phase, and kind of my concerns, I guess. So let's get into it. Okay, so just a recap from the last video. This was large plate. Okay. And what I finished since the last video was 2x plate, which fills this drawer quite nicely. It's actually a really nice drawer. I think I'm going to end up shifting the grays down to sort of try and match how this drawer looks, just for aesthetics, and also, I don't know, try to keep some consistency, I guess, for the future, like just sort of muscle memory type of stuff. But anyway, so here's the 2x drawer, and this went really well. Again, I'm still using the larger organizer bins, and I'm still separating them out. But the reason I'm justifying that here is because I'm going to, these aren't super small parts. I figured, some of them might even have tipped this way, so easy to grab, easy to put in. Even these long ones, like, they're easy to take out because they're larger, right? So again, like I mentioned sort of in the last video, my goal is to use the larger bins with the dividers for larger parts, and then that will hopefully free up all of the smaller bins to use for smaller parts. So this went really well. I'm really happy with how this goes, or how this went. But let me see. I just want to touch on a couple things. So, like, tans, like, there's a lot more variations, right? There's the nougats and, like, dark tans and these, like, the dark orange and stuff. So I have, like, all the 1x's sort of separated out. Like, these are just browns, and then these are, like, variants of brown. But then I also have, like, tans separated out. And then, like, all the blues, so, like, regular blue, and then blue variants separated out. Same with greens and green variants, just to keep that consistent. But again, the goal was to take out reds, whites, yellows, and then variants of dark red, orange, pinks, bright yellows, lavenders, purples, all those colors, get rid of them. So out of the main drawer units. And my thinking is that when this is all said and done, right, when I've kind of put all of the parts that I want in colors that I'm going to be using the most of, if there is like a free drawer or open drawers that I might want to use, what I'll do is maybe fill that drawer with some of those less used parts, but then kind of keep them all contained in one area. I don't know. It's a work in progress, right? It's an evolution, but anyway. And then I've left this open because I don't have any of, I'm trying to future-proof a little bit. So these are what, 12s? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah. I don't have any of the 14s. I do in other sizes, or in other colors, but I don't have it in green. But just in case I did, I left that open, or I could shift it in the future. But that is essentially what I've done for the 2x plate. The other thing I wanted to touch on with this is, again, like the larger plate, those took up 2 drawers when they were over here. These also took up 2 drawers. Well, almost 2 drawers. There's some of the smaller wedge plates that also went with this, but basically it took up about 1.5 drawers before over here. I think it was these 2 drawers that it took up, and now it only takes up 1 drawer by eliminating some of those other colors and by streamlining it with a little bit more of the dividers, and also makes it easier to access all the parts. So it is a win-win. So I feel really good about that. So let's move on to the 1x plate. Very similar, but now you can see we're starting to use a lot more of the single, and then some of the double, or the, I don't know what I should call these. I keep wanting to call these like 1x's. These are 2x's, and then these are like 3x's ones, but that's not really, I'm thinking of them as like studs, I guess. But anyway, yeah, so here's 1x plate, similar to the 2x, but it got a little bit more, I don't know if complicated is the right word. It just took a little bit more finagling to kind of get it the way I wanted. So this is all 1x plate, and I had these 2 rows left. So I also did these small modified plates. So grays, blacks, dark grays, tans, browns, and then greens and blues are going to go in 1. So I tried to keep them separate. So I have 3 things of greens here, just because there's a lot more of these variations, and then 3 different things of blues, same with tans, and then the grays are separated, but that's just because I had more of these parts, and I didn't really want to, again, I wanted to kind of keep them easy access for some of these smaller pieces. Like I need to start thinking, I need to make sure I'm staying true to that, so that when I want to grab something out of here, I can just grab the bin, rather than, you know, a whole thing again, right? So like I don't need to do that with these, because these are easier to access in these slots because they're larger, but then as you get smaller, to have them separated out. So I did, but I started to combine them even more for some of these other things, and then I also put these modified 1x4s in here as well. Again, grays, same kind of concept, tans, browns, colors. And so basically blues and greens are in the same thing, because I just have so much less of them. That might change in the future, but that's how I have that right now. And then, yeah, so that worked out pretty well. The 1x drawer took up just 1 drawer over there as well. So, but they weren't as separated out. They were a lot more combined, and they were a lot harder to sift through. And so I was able to spread these out a lot more, and then of course got rid of the colors. So I may move some of this around, because there's a little bit more of like, it's not as fluid visually to look at, but I might shift some of those around in the future. But anyway, I want to talk about this back here. So I have back here 4, I'm going to bring these up here. I have 4 little bags. Now, I have this area back here on all the drawers, because this is how I'm going to have everything. Everything going this direction, like the long way with these longer ones. It fits really well, but there is a little bit of a gap back here. And what I think I'm going to do, for now at least, is use that gap to put the extra parts that are the off colors, reds, whites, yellows, for both of those kinds of parts, and stuff it back in the back there to use that space, because what I don't want is there's so few of these, and I could toss them in the bins, but I kind of want to keep the consistency going. I want blues and greens, tans, browns, like I want it to be consistent. And I think that's going to help my brain, and I'm kind of stubborn, and so that's how I'm going to do it. It keeps it, the consistency is very important for me. I think it's adding more work and more thought processes, but I think it'll be important to me at the end. So because I have so few of these, I don't want these to get lost sort of in the drawers in the overflow area. So instead, I'm just going to kind of store these behind so that if I do need them, they're right here. If they're too big to put in that back area, then they'll go in there, which is totally fine, because then it'll be easier to find them if they're in a larger bag. But if they're just in a very, very small bag for this, I don't want to be digging in the back for these when they're that small. So I'm going to store those in the back, and that leads me to over here, which I'm working on this drawer. No. This drawer, completely empty. I've emptied this of the bricks. There used to be bricks in here. So now this is completely empty. I've shifted those over there because I think we'll go plate brick now. That's just kind of how it worked out. So then I'm working on the other types of modified, the 2x2s. So there's those, and then those are going to be the greens and blues. I literally only have one dark blue 2x2 modified, but again, trying to future-proof, right? So grays, and then tans. I did separate this one instead because I do want to use more of these, because I want to try and save as many of these as possible for more of the small parts in the future that I know exist. And then I also did the track. I decided to put the track in here. The track used to go down here in the Misfits drawer in the back. But I decided, so what I did was, when I was looking at the modified plate, I went through sort of this whole stack, and I wanted to see, okay, what else could we try to combine parts with? And, when it comes to modified plates, and these kind of felt right in my head, so that's what I did. So I have the long versions. These are kind of all the long versions I have. The short versions in gray, like bluish gray, dark gray, black colors. I also have a bunch in like a silver. While that's not consistent with this, I do think I will use those, and I want to keep those handy. So, and then tans and browns. And then again, these will, because there's so few of these are literally all the rest of these that I have. And they happen to be in red, yellow, and white. So those will go behind. Same red, yellow, white for the shorties. And then I have a bag of red and whites in the long versions. And then I have this tiny little bag of like bright yellow or lemon yellow. I'm not real sure, but again, I don't want to lose those. So those are going to go in the back. So now I'm just kind of prepping sort of this next drawer. And then I think what's going to end up happening is I'm going to start to go for these modified plates, all the plates with holes in it. I think these are next. And then this is going to get bigger as I expand through the drawer. And then I'm going to get into wedge. So, and I'm hoping I can fit all of that into this drawer. That would be awesome. But that's a work in progress, and that's probably for another video. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this one. So I know I didn't really address sort of my concerns, but I guess my concern comes with the sort of extra space, and I feel like now I'm starting to get into some more like plates and bricks, and like that stuff is fairly straightforward. But then when you start to get into some of the smaller pieces and the more unique parts, thinking about where they go, how are they organized, how are they put, it just starts to get a little bit more like, is this the way I want it? Again, there's no right answer. I'm fully aware that I'm completely overthinking all of this, but at the same time, it's the space. It's the space that I'm working in, and I want things to be efficient, and I'm having fun with it. Like, it is a lot of work, and some of you might feel like it's a waste of time, but or it's so, I'm just way too into the minutia of it, but I'm enjoying it, and that's really all that matters, right? So I'm enjoying it, and hopefully, again, the reason I like to share some of this stuff is because I enjoy watching these types of videos where people do deep dives on their organization and how they store their parts, and it helps inspire me to do it. And I always pick up little things here and there. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe I should, do that or whatever. It inspires me to do it. So I enjoy watching this type of content. So I hope that these videos help some of you who are also maybe in the same headspace or working on it, or, are thinking about getting started. I hope these videos help you in some way. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. But until then, remember, keep on sorting or building. Jim out.